Hello, my friends. I hope you are having a beautiful evening so far. I just want to make sure that everything is working okay, that the stream is coming through okay. So bear with me for just a second as I test to make sure I am coming through. All right. Super excited to be here with you today. And today's masterclass is all about creating scratch tracks and mapping. I don't want to take too much of your time because I know it's very, very valuable. So we can just jump right into it. And okay. So yeah, thank you so much for being here with me today. Scratches and mapping. It's funny because I've been in the audio, kind of the audio game, the recording game for a little while now. And scratch tracks are something that I kind of took for granted because A, by knowing what they are in general, and B, just as a tool that we use in recording. So I'm excited to be able to share this with you today. You can sort of think of scratch tracks, and mapping visual maps of your song as kind of being the scaffolding of your song. The purpose behind it, if you think of like a construction site, right? The people put up scaffolding so that they can stand on it so that they can build the rest of the building. It supports them while they're building everything else up. And that's what scratch tracks and visual maps do as well. Scratch tracks are kind of the auditory guide for where you are in the song, and the visual map is a visual guide for where you are in the song. So creating these things can be really, really effective in helping your brain carry and do multiple things at once. Because in reality, right, when we're recording ourselves at home, we are wearing many hats. Because not only are you the performer, the player, the artist, the songwriter, you're also the engineer and the producer. So you're thinking about the micro details and kind of the macro overall picture of the song. So trying to do all of that at once is really challenging. And actually, it just doesn't work because it uses too many parts of our brain to really do that. So, anyway, creating these scaffolds for ourselves helps us kind of let this guide do some of the legwork for us while we just focus on just being a player and just being a guitar player, a performer. So, by the end of this masterclass, you'll be able to know where you are in your song at any given moment while you're recording, and you'll also be able to navigate to any section of your song quickly and easily. These are very similar things, but they're kind of different. One is knowing where you are while you're actually playing. I want to give you this scenario, right? You sit down to play your song, and you're sitting there with your guitar, and in your head, you're singing to yourself. You're singing the lyrics. Well, you having to sing the lyrics to yourself to know where you are in the song means that you're not paying very much attention to the actual guitar playing that you're doing. And mind you, that's the thing that you're actually recording. So, we want to create a way for you to be able to not have to sing in your head. And the way we're going to do that is to actually record a take of your voice. You also want to be able to navigate to any section of your song quickly and easily because, say, for example, your friend wants to sing some background harmonies on your song, and you want them to come in the third chorus. Well, where is the third chorus? You can kind of try to notice the patterns and the waveforms in the DAW, or try to notice when other instruments come in, but ultimately that is more brain power that you're using that has nothing to do with the actual creativity or sound of your project. It's just kind of housekeeping. So we want to create a way for you to not have to navigate that kind of thing. And rather, you'll just be able to know exactly, oh, the chorus is right here. And then you can do your recording as you would. So, yeah, a little bit about me before we get too deep into this. My name is Freddie, and I am a singer songwriter. I got started into the recording and engineering space when I was a teenager. I started mowing some lawns and making some money that way. And then I would go to the recording studio and spend my money there. Um, and I kind of thought to myself at one point, well, maybe if I learn how to do this, I can save that money, put it towards something else, and, I would really be able to create my own songs, right? Hi, Andy. I'm like kind of vaguely looking at comments here because I'm like back and forth in the presentation. You can see your own comment, I guess, because you're viewing the screen. Anyway, sorry about that. So, love you, Andy. Um, so I was fortunate enough and had the privilege enough to be able to go to college to study audio engineering and how to record, how to work with bands, how to be in the recording studio. And I got to work in some pretty incredible rooms um, with some of the most talented people that I could have dreamed to work with. Um, and in that experience, I learned so much, like not only how to be an engineer, how to it kind of gave me a standard for what to work toward. Um, but also just like learning about what kinds of things do engineers and producers think about? What kind of things do they talk about? And, how can I bring that into my own practice? It was really, really cool. But let's see. Fast forward a little bit in time. I moved to New York City. And at that time, I also started my transition. I'm a trans person, and I started to transition and decided that I wanted to take testosterone. And a friend of mine said, hey, your voice is changing. You may as well um, record some of these songs that you've been writing. Because I had been writing songs about trying to make the decision to transition, and it was really personal to me. And I figured, hey, that's right, I should record. The issue was that I was living in New York City, and I didn't have the same connections to recording studios there than I did when I lived in Boston prior. And I also didn't have the money to afford recording studios because I was I don't know, rent was really expensive and New York in general was just really expensive. So I decided to record an album at home, and it was going to track going from my old voice to my new voice. The album started off with my old voice, in the middle it duetted with the new voice, and then by the end the new voice was the lead. So I recorded this at home, and uh, this was a really, really cool experience because not only did I get to, you know, I could kind of record it in my own time, like as my voice was changing, but I also saved a lot of money. And it was really, I wouldn't have been able to record this project without doing it at home. And while I wasn't super proud of this record right when I did it, there's a bunch of things that I was, feeling really critical of. The thing is, I really did use the skills that I learned in those bigger recording studios to record this. And not only that, but later on, I was really able to connect with some fans who really found a lot of meaning in some of these songs, and that was extremely fulfilling for me. So, yeah, overall, this was a really groundbreaking experience for me, knowing that, wow, I can make something and record something at home that I put out that has a really big impact and does connect with my fans. So, the process of recording your song from start to finish is there's a lot of different steps here. And after you do an emotional analysis of your song, which I went over a couple months ago when I did my January live stream, This month, I want to talk about creating scratch tracks and mapping your song, because this builds a scaffold that then everything else can come to life because of those. And I break scratches and mapping into 4 steps, or 4 main ideas. And as we dive into this, hopefully you can think to yourself how you can kind of apply this to your own situation. The first part is keeping time. And keeping time, the way I'm using it in this scenario, is referring to setting up an audible reference for the beat of your song. So the most common thing that most people have heard of is the metronome, right? Those little things that kind of swing back and forth, right? So all DAWs have a built-in metronome, also known as a click track. But what I also notice is that a lot of folks tend to struggle to play to it, myself included, to be honest with you. So here's the first big tip. If you take one thing away from you during this session, I hope that it is this. I don't know if you can actually read the whole slide because of where my camera is. I'm going to try to move that. I don't know if it's in the way. I'll move it up here. Hopefully that's out of the way. Okay. So rather than playing to a click track or to a metronome, my recommendation is to play to a drummer track. It just feels more natural to do so. So the way that we're going to do this is, first you need to determine the tempo of your song, because that's actually really important and not a given. And the way that I recommend that you do this is, if you have a demo of yourself playing the song on your phone, or if you don't, you can make one of those recordings. Just put your phone down, record the song, you singing and playing, and then listen back. You can use the tap tempo feature either within your DAW, or you can Google tap tempo online, and literally you can use something like this to tap out a tempo for you. And whatever that is, you will load that into your DAW. The next step, and I guess I'll bring us over to Logic real quick. Oh, you can't see Logic. Let me fix that real quick so you can actually see what I'm talking about. In Logic, you can create a drummer track. The quick the key command for that is Option Command U. So I already created one here, but I will just show you. Option Command U creates a new drummer track. And then you can determine what beat you like. So find different beats that are playing. You can also find different drummers, which I think I might have to move. Let's see. Let me move this camera. Okay. So if you open up the library here, you can go to different types of songwriter, or different types of drummers. I'm sorry. And so you can change your drummer to kind of get more of the beat that you want. So there's a bunch of different options. The point is, how do you determine which one to do? My recommendation is to play the drummer back and play the song along with it, just for yourself, and see if it feels good to play to. If it doesn't feel good, then try another beat, and you can kind of move on from there. But that's the first step, keeping time. The next is to create your first scratch track. And scratch tracks are temporary audio tracks that you'll use as a guide to know where you are in the song. So in this case, what you will be doing is, I've got my drummer track here already, so that's okay. What you're going to be doing is actually, oh, you know what? I'm realizing that you didn't see when I went to the next part here. Okay, so a scratch track is a temporary track, audio track, that you use as a guide to know where you are in the song. So if you don't have your mic and your interface set up already, you're going to plug your interface in, you're going to plug your mic in, and point it generally towards your face. This presentation and is oriented toward the singer-songwriter, so somebody who's sitting down with a guitar and singing. So this scratch track, this initial scratch track that you make, is going to be you singing and playing the guitar at the same time. So when you put the mic like a foot away from your face, kind of pointing at your face like this mic will also pick up your guitar. So you're going to put the mic about a foot from your face and point it toward your mouth. Then you're going to create a new audio track. You can do that by pressing Option Command A, or you can right click here and say New Audio Track. And then you're going to simply sit down and play the song. So I'll show you an example of what that looks like. I've already kind of done this on my end. So my scratch track here, if I play this back, let's listen. Right before my eyes. Stand by 1 second. I'm realizing that I don't have something else muted that needs to be muted here. Okay, I apologize. And also I'm realizing that you couldn't see this before anyway. So let's just come back here for a second. So I created this scratch track. You'll notice a couple interesting things here, right? So one common mistake that I often see is that folks will start recording straight at the top of the session. So they won't wait for any bars to pass. They'll maybe put the count off on, this count off up here, and then come in as soon as the drums start. My recommendation is actually to leave the count off and let yourself start 2 bars in. And the reason that we do that is, one, it will make it so that you don't accidentally chop off some of the beginning of your chord if you come in a little bit too early. And also it will really kind of help give you like a nice breath before you actually start. You'll notice something I did for this song, and this is not something that I usually do, but if it is helpful, please by all means, I think it, can be cool. Let 2 bars play and then count yourself in on that last bar so that literally you're counting yourself in on when you're supposed to start playing and singing together. But you'll notice that this track itself, I'm going to move a little bit forward in the song here. Right before my eyes. This track is both my guitar and my voice. So I was singing and playing at the exact same time. And that is what you should end with here. Let me go back to our presentation real quick. So you're going to record and sing all the way through. The next step here is to create your song map. So now that you actually have a scratch track there, we're going to create a visual guide for where the different sections of your song are. I want to actually mention one last thing before I move on, which is that I know it can be kind of easy, especially if you're new to this process. The thing is, not everything that you record has to be something that you keep in your final mix. And in fact, the scratch track is not something that we keep in the final mix. So I just want to highlight that for you and also say, the part of you that is a perfectionist, let that part of you kind of take a back seat for a second, because if you mess up a lyric or if you kind of flub a chord really quickly and immediately get back on track, you don't have to start over. It doesn't have to be perfect. The most important thing that does need to be perfect at this stage is that all of the section lengths are the correct length. So, you didn't accidentally make your chorus too long, or you didn't accidentally make your verse too long, or you didn't accidentally skip a verse. You want to make sure that all of your sections of your song are there and that they're all the correct length. Those are the biggest things to pay attention to at this point. Okay, so moving on to our song map. So now that we have this this scratch track here, we're going to create a song map, and a song map is a visual guide to where you are in the song. And we're going to create it using markers along the timeline in your DAW. So I'm going to demonstrate what this looks like in Logic, but the vast majority of the most popular DAWs have this feature as well. So in your DAW, let's go over to Logic. I'm going to close a couple of things just so that I don't have to be overwhelmed by anything. Okay. So I'm going to press the G, and when I do that, this marker should hide and appear. We want it to appear. You also probably see something like this, where there's a few other things here. So when you press G, it makes this big kind of difference. Now, there is a way that you can create markers with the different sections of your song by using the arrangement view, and you can add all of those. It does 8-bar chunks, and you can drag the different parts to be different lengths. That said, I do not like the arrangement view, and the reason is because if I hide this, if I close the globals, the arrangement goes away. Versus if I put markers in, when I hide the globals, the markers still appear. So we're going to use markers instead of arrangement. And I'm going to, actually, I'll just hide this for now because, okay, so I'm hiding the arrangement, I'm hiding the signature, I'm hiding the tempo, I'm hiding everything except for the marker. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing back the song, and every time a new section starts, we're going to add a new marker. And we can do that by either hitting the plus button up here, or we can press Option plus. So I'm going to play this back. Okay, now my intro is going to start right here then. So I'll add the plus. I'm also going to double click it and rename it. So I'll rename this intro. I saw you change. Okay, and then now is my chorus 1. The song starts with the chorus, so you'll see I'm just going to be listening through the song. Right before my eyes, I'm just going to be listening through the song and putting the markers in where they need to happen. Right before my eyes. Okay, verse 1 is about to happen, so double click. Verse 1. My lonely thoughts swirl, they take shape with my imagination of your inner world. Then I measure the difference between who you are and who I thought you were. Okay, now we've got a pre-chorus here. I think you're a magician with a fancy sleight of hand. I saw you change. Alright, and now we're getting into the second chorus. Okay, so you get the point of this. You're gonna go through your entire song and do this exact same process. The next step here is then to color those markers so that you can really easily differentiate the different sections from each other. So you can bring up, you can either press Option C, or you can go to View and Show Colors. And here, you highlight, oh, let me make sure that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so again, you can either go to View, Show Colors, or you can press Option C. If you highlight the marker, then you can click on a color and bring that color. So I'll make all of my choruses green. I'll make my verses purple, and my pre-chorus, I'll make it orange. Okay. So now I know, oh, here's chorus 1, here's chorus 2. Now, the cool thing about this, as I was kind of mentioning earlier, is that if you hide this global now, if you're trying to save yourself some space, you can press G again, and then those markers still appear along the top, and they have their colors as well. Okay. So let's keep it moving. Now we're getting on to the vocal scratch, and this is the last major step of this process. So during this stage, we're gonna do a vocal scratch, as opposed to the scratch track that we had before, which was us singing and playing. With the vocal scratch, we're actually just gonna be singing at this point. So let's go over to Logic, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So let me bring up my hidden tracks again, because I did this again for us. Here it is. Okay, so I've got the scratch vocal now. And this, if I solo this, you can tell this vocal is perfectly in time with the entire song. I saw you change right before my eyes. I saw you change. And the cool thing about this is that now, when I go to record my guitar, my official guitar takes for this song, I don't have to sing in my head, because I already sang in my head, and actually I sang out of my head into the DAW. So again, one last thing, you don't have to, if you flub a note, if you're sharp or flat or whatever, if you even miss a word, that's totally fine, so long as this scratch vocal helps you know exactly where you are supposed to be in your song. So now that you recorded this lead vocal track, now you can actually go ahead and mute the old scratch track. And now you're ready to record your official guitar tracks. So my friends, I hope this was helpful. Again, just to recap what we learned, the scratch track is an auditory guide for where you are in the song. The song map, the visual map, is a visual guide to where you are in the song. Let's see. I'm gonna go over to the streams just to see if there are any comments. Thank you so much, Barat. I hope it's helpful. I would love to hear what kind of music you make. And again, thank you to Andy. Thank you if you're watching this. This only lasted about a half hour. I do these master classes every month, going over kind of different topics around recording and recording yourself at home. I also want to invite you, let me get out of my Facebook here. If you do want help recording and producing your own song from home, you can book a one-on-one call with me to learn more about it. Also, I do want to invite you, I actually created a production roadmap completely for free. So if you want one of those as well, just comment on here or send me a message, and I'll be absolutely happy to send you the free production roadmap. Um, it kind of gives you, it breaks down all the topics that I'm doing this entire year into one document. So you don't have to go to the master classes if you just like download this one document. It kind of gives you all the action steps to be able to record your own song at home. So, anyway, I hope you have a lovely rest of the day, and I will see you next time.